Why are you engaging in something that's an international issue? It's foreign policy. But we get to determine what organizations are charities in this state. And we get to say whether or not violence is charitable.
Policing around the entire country will be transformed by Cop City because the proposal is for police officers from around the country to go to Cop City to be trained. There's a national law enforcement exchange program that is proposed alongside Cop City for police departments from here in Connecticut, from other states, to go to Atlanta to be trained in the state-of-the-art urban warfare and counterinsurgency tactics that they're going to try to develop there.
Hello, my name is Stanley Heller. Welcome to the Struggle Video News. You recall last winter, Israeli settlers staged a race riot in the Palestinian town of Huwara. Today is October 6th and Hoshana Rabbah, a day when, during prayers for Orthodox Jews, the Torah scroll is taken out and walked 7 times joyfully around the synagogue. However, these settlers decided it was a good day for another race riot in Huwara. They danced and chanted L'chaim Tovim U'Shalom for good life and peace, and then they rampaged around the village. The International Middle East Center reports that a Palestinian teenager was killed. His name was Labib Damidi. We've talked in recent weeks about the deal, or the megadeal, that Biden is trying to broker between Netanyahu and MBS. It is meeting serious opposition. On October 6th, there was a terrific piece by Mehdi Hassan on the TV station MNBC. 20 senators issued a statement about their conditions for supporting a megadeal. It has some things about Israeli concessions to Palestinians, but frankly, these are easily agreed to and then ignored. What it doesn't have is a forthright condition that the senators would not agree to anything that would let the Saudis develop a nuclear bomb. At any rate, it is something in the way of opposition. There is a real effort to get the Senate to reject any deal, any mega deal involving Saudi tyranny and Israeli apartheid. There's a new website, nomegadeal.com, and a new petition directed to senators asking them to reject the megadeal. nomegadeal.com. Now, this may seem a very abstract effort compared to the horrors inflicted daily on Palestinians, but Netanyahu is demanding on this deal to get him out of the hole that he is in. So defeating the megadeal could have a very positive effect. On October 6th, I did an interview with national security analyst Joe Cirincione about the megadeal. I'll play a bit of it here. I want to ask about an article you have on your strategy and history Substack called Joe Biden's Worst Foreign Policy Idea. Let's start off with that title. What do you think is his worst foreign policy idea?
You know, Biden has a number of major accomplishments, including basically digging us out of the ditch that Trump left us in and restoring alliance relationships, making NATO larger and stronger than it's ever been, helping Ukraine, probably his best foreign policy achievement to date, and getting the U.S. serious about climate change, among other major accomplishments. But this deal that he wants to make with Saudi Arabia is probably the worst foreign policy idea I've seen in a very long time. I am perplexed as to what they think they're getting out of it. I really don't understand the drivers behind it, although we can speculate as we go on. But basically, the idea is that Biden would broker the diplomatic recognition between Saudi Arabia and Israel. Saudi Arabia has been a holdout in the region, while other smaller states have made diplomatic relations, restored diplomatic relations with Israel, basically during the Trump administration or during the Camp David Accords earlier. Saudi Arabia has held out. Saudi Arabia insists that Palestinians must be granted their own homeland. Israel, of course, refuses to do that. Biden believes that he can broker a deal where Saudi Arabia would recognize Israel. Israel would then make major concessions to the Palestinians to keep open the possibility of a two-state solution. And then in exchange, as a reward to Saudi Arabia, the United States would give it a mutual defense pact, similar to what we have with South Korea or Japan. This would be unprecedented. It's been almost 60 years since we've made a defense pact with a country that wasn't a democracy. Back 1953, with then the dictator of South Korea was the last time we did this. And in exchange, also, if that wasn't enough, the Biden administration would make a nuclear agreement with Saudi Arabia, allowing it to proceed with the development of a civilian nuclear power program. And here's the important part, that included Saudi Arabia enriching uranium on its own territory, exactly what Saudi Arabia objects to Iran doing, because if you can enrich uranium for civilian fuel, you also have the same capability to enrich it for the cores of weapons. Same machines, same factories, just running at a different tempo, a different enrichment ratio. So that's the sort of, three-corner shot they're trying to pull off here. Diplomatic recognition, mutual defense pact, concessions for the Palestinians, and a civilian nuclear program for Saudi Arabia. This is just a terrible idea. It would sacrifice core U.S. security interests in stopping the spread of nuclear weapons, in pulling us out of the Middle East. Instead, it would bring us deeper back into the Middle East, in this case, committing American lives for the defense of a theocratic monarchy. I just don't see the upside of this.
All right, we'll get into more of those details. But first, would Congress have to approve this mega deal?
If it was in the form of a treaty, it would absolutely require 2/3 of the Senate to approve it. And usually mutual defense pacts like the one we have with Japan, South Korea, or the NATO agreement are approved by the Senate. Yes, so that would mean he would have to get 67 senators to vote in favor of his arrangement.
So if Biden can't get his whole delegation behind him, a treaty would fail. See the whole interview on our YouTube channel, The Struggle Video News. We continue with more of the Jewish Voice for Peace rally in New York City against Netanyahu on the day he spoke at the UN.
You and we're all signing up to participate in the Not on Our Dime campaign. Let's say together, Netanyahu, you are not welcome here.
Netanyahu, you are not welcome here!
Netanyahu, you are not welcome here!
Netanyahu, you are not welcome here!
Not another nickel, not another dime, no more money for apartheid!
Not another nickel,
Not another dime, no more money for apartheid!
not another nickel,
Not another dime, no more money for apartheid! Not another nickel, not another dime, no more money for apartheid! Not another nickel, not another dime, no more money for apartheid! Okay, next up, we are really honored to have some fierce and brave elected officials of our city, of our state, of our communities who know that what our communities want is a free Palestine. Who know that collective liberation means liberation for everybody with no exceptions, including Palestinians. Please join me in welcoming Zohran Mamdani. How's everybody doing? I think we can get a little bit louder than that. Who is ready for Palestinian freedom? Who is ready for the end of apartheid? It is forever an honor to be here with you. My name is Zohran Mamdani, and I am the New York State Assembly member for the 36th District for Astoria and Long Island City and Queens.
You know, earlier today, I was speaking to a reporter about this issue, and she asked me, why should New Yorkers care about something that's going on halfway across the world? Isn't this just the airing of dirty laundry of something that's happening in Israel? And I said to her, and I'll say today, that I can think of 3.8 billion reasons why we as Americans should care about what's going on over there. We have to understand that this is not a symbolic fight that showcases our solidarity. This is a fight of substance. This is a fight that recognizes our complicity in this apartheid regime. $3.8 billion every year in military aid from this country to that country. Endless amounts of political cover. And a strategy and approach that is not carrot and stick, it's just carrot and more carrot. That's what our government has said for decades. It is up to us as Americans to say no. And it is up to us to say no at every single level of government that we are in. That's right. Because we know that the Israeli government and the support for the Israeli government is something that is developed from the first moment that someone even thinks about politics in this country. We have to combat it at the same level. And we know as New Yorkers that it's not just a fight going on in D.C. As Sumaya said, it's a fight going on right here in our state. Because every year, charities that we in the New York State legislature deem to be charities by the law that we pass, those charities send $60 million a year to Israeli settler organizations. $60 million a year. All of this occurring at the same time as we're being told by mayor, by governor, by president that there simply isn't enough money for the basic services we need to see in our life. These two things cannot be true simultaneously. And so what we are saying, myself introducing this legislature in the Assembly and State Senator Jabari Prisport right over here introducing it in the State Senate, is this cannot occur on our dime. Not on our dime.
Not on our dime.
Let me hear it with you. It's not on our dime.
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 And when we're in Albany, we hear, why are you engaging in something that's an international issue? It's foreign policy. But we get to determine what organizations are charities in this state. And we get to say whether or not violence is charitable. And we know that it's not. And we know that it's not just important in terms of the 60 million. It's important because so often this money is the majority of the operating budget of those settler organizations themselves. If we look back at 2017, at the height of the attacks on Sheikh Jarrah in East Jerusalem, the Israel Land Fund's budget, 99.2% of its budget was coming from the Central Fund of Israel, a New York State registered charity. We have to stop that flow of money at every single place that we see it occurring. So I want to thank all of you for being here. I want to thank those of you who have been fighting for this liberation for longer than I've been alive. And I want you to know that every time we take action, we get one step closer to the reason we came out in the first place. We get one step closer. And we know it will not be today, we know it will not be tomorrow, but we know that it will be within our vision. We can see it already. That day is coming. And it's coming because each one of you has the bravery to call out hypocrisy for what it is. So thank you all so much. I would be a bad organizer if I didn't tell you to go to notonourdime.com/take action. If you go there, you can send a letter to your legislator. It'll take you about 1 minute. And then the next time I'm in Albany and I'm talking to a colleague and they say, none of my constituents care about this, I can say, actually, I can see that 50 people sent that letter on the same day we were at the protest. So thank you for exposing these contradictions. Thank you for standing up for consistency. And thank you for saying that our convictions are going to change the calculus of this country. Thank you so much.
Give it up for New York State Assembly members. All around Johnny, everybody. When Netanyahu comes to town, what do we say? Free! Free Palestine!
Free! Free Palestine!
When Netanyahu comes to town, what do we say?
Free! Free Palestine!
When Netanyahu comes to town, what do we say?
Free! Free Palestine!
When Netanyahu comes to town, what do we say?
Free! Free Palestine!
Right, that's right. Okay, next up, I'm also honored to welcome up an incredible, fierce, courageous elected official, New York State Senator Jabari Brisport. Please give it up for Jabari with me, everybody.
All right, let's go. Y'all know this one. Free! Free Palestine! Free! Free! Free Palestine! 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 I am New York State Senator Jabari Brisport. I am from Brooklyn. Is Brooklyn in the house? You know, in Brooklyn we have a saying. We say, spread love, it's the Brooklyn way. So I have a message for Netanyahu. You are not welcome here. Because while in Brooklyn we spread love, let's talk about what he has spread. Hate. He has spread hate. He has spread distrust. He has spread displacement. And he has spread death of Palestinians. And that has no place anywhere, but especially not in New York City, in our backyard. I stand with everyone here or everyone watching who dreams of a free Palestine. I stand with everyone here or watching who dreams of an end to the U.S. funding, the U.S. military funding to Israel. And I stand with everyone in the Not on Our Dime coalition that says we will stop funding fake charities that fund Israeli settler violence. We do see an end to this when we stand up, when we rise together, when we work together and say no more to the violence. Yes to a free Palestine. Yes to peace and love with our brothers and sisters thousands of miles away in Palestine. We stand with you. We support you. We love you. We got this. Thank you.
Give it up for Jabari Brisport, everybody. Free! Free Palestine!
Free! Free Palestine!
Free! Free! Free Palestine!
Free! Free! Free Palestine!
Free! Free Palestine!
Free! Free Palestine!
Free! Free! Free Palestine!
Free! Free! Free Palestine!
Free! Free Palestine!
Free! Free Palestine!
Free! Free! Free Palestine!
Free! Free! Free Palestine!
Okay, we're going to say really clear to Netanyahu. We're going to say really clear what we think. We're going to say shame. Over and over. Let's say it. Shame! 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 And then we're going to say to our government, not another nickel, not another dime, no more money for apartheid.
Not another nickel! Not another dime!
No more money for apartheid. Not another nickel, not another dime, no more money for apartheid. Not another nickel, not another dime, no more money for apartheid. Not another nickel, not another dime, no more money for apartheid. Palestinians have
Palestinians have
the right to live in freedom
the right to live in freedom
and the right to return home.
and the right to return home.
Palestinians have
The
right to live in freedom
the right to live in freedom
and the right to return home.
and the right to return home.
Palestinians have
Palestinians have
the right to live in freedom
the right to live in freedom
and the right to return home.
and the right to return home.
Palestinians have
Palestinians have
the right to live in freedom
the right to live in freedom
and the right to return home.
and the right to return home.
Give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you, everybody. Okay, so we're gonna take a group photo together because we're gonna register our presence today. We're going to register our presence today that our dissent is not just against the war criminal Benjamin Netanyahu being here in New York City. Our dissent is with the entire Israeli regime of apartheid and colonialism and racism and occupation. Our dissent is with the $3.8 billion every single year that our government flows towards the government of Israel. We are here to register our presence and our dissent, and our numbers are only growing.
Free, free, free Palestine! From the river to the sea! From the river to the sea! From the river to the sea! Palestine will be free! From the river to the sea! Palestine will be free! From the river to the sea! Palestine will be free! Palestine will be free! Not another nickel! Not another dime! No more money for apartheid!
This is notice of a big upcoming event with Yassin al-Hajj Salah, a leftist, former Syrian prisoner under Hafez Assad, who joined in the uprising in 2011 and whose wife disappeared in 2013, probably at the hands of a so-called Islamic militia. He's on a tour of the U.S., and this is his appearance on Halloween night at Smith College in Northampton, Massachusetts. An exciting prospect. As we record, news comes that Georgia prosecutors will not charge any police in the killing of Tortuguita, who was in his tent in the woods outside of Atlanta. Tortuguita was shot 57 times. New Haven was the site last week of a stop of the tour of Stop Cop City activists.
And I want to talk about what the relevance of what is going on in Atlanta is to us here in Connecticut. So first, we have to understand that the proposed plans for Cop City have immediate national implications. Policing around the entire country will be transformed by Cop City because the proposal is for police officers from around the country to go to Cop City to be trained. There's a national law enforcement exchange program that is proposed alongside Cop City for police departments from here in Connecticut, from other states, to go to Atlanta to be trained in the state-of-the-art urban warfare and counterinsurgency tactics that they're going to try to develop there. So how will policing be transformed? Police will become better skilled in protest suppression, in protest control, in tactics of urban warfare designed to repress progressive social movements and movements that challenge the status quo. And so that brings me to my second point. What's going on in Atlanta is relevant to Connecticut because the repression activists in Atlanta are facing, domestic terrorism charges, RICO, etc. This is a test case for how the ruling class, the state and corporate power structure, is planning to meet future protests and anti-racist progressive activism. We can see continuities in the repression of Stop Cop City activists and forest defenders with the repression of earlier movements, especially the Black Power movement and anti-war movement of the 1960s and 70s. I'll spare you some of that historical detail, but it's important to kind of see these kind of long continuities, but also what's different. But Connecticut is no stranger to police repression of protests. Let's think back to 2020. In June, after the murder of George Floyd spurred protests across the country, Connecticut community members organized a protest in Waterbury. Maybe some of you were there. Police responded in riot gear and raided the march, arresting 28 people, calling the protest an unlawful assembly. In Stamford in August that year, 5 protesters and a passerby were arrested and charged with inciting a riot during a peaceful demonstration in the Justice for Stephen Barrier movement. I know some of you were there. Stephen Barrier died in police custody in suspicious circumstances in 2019, but police saw the demands for answers in his case as enough to charge protesters with inciting a riot. The police in this country are completely unaccountable and seem intent on using their power and legalized violence to punish anyone who dares challenge their authority. Cop City would be a massive win for that aim. But it is not only the police who are behind Cop City. So who is trying to build Cop City? Cop City is being pushed by an alliance of state and corporate actors from nearly every sector of the capitalist class. So big tech, finance, Hollywood, retail, construction. There's a whole alliance of corporate and state interests the military-industrial complex, the prison-industrial complex, in building Cop City in Atlanta, Cop Cities in Chicago, in Pittsburgh, in these new police training facilities, urban warfare facilities around the country. So why? The reason is that they're trying to shore up their ill-begotten power and position in US and global society through force and violence. So we know why they're trying to build Cop City now. The 2020 protests terrified the ruling elite in this country, looking down at the next decade as climate change exacerbates the lethality of social inequality. There will be more social unrest, more bottom-up challenges to the power structure. So their plan is to meet this crisis with force and violence. Rather than adopt the necessary changes to secure a sustainable, survivable future, they're trying to use the police and the military to secure their power, their wealth, their position, right? The very inequalities that actually drive the crisis. So who opposes Cop City? So opposing Cop City is a mass democratic movement of all different kinds of people dedicated to an ecologically sustainable future, free of state violence, and built on community care. We can and will win the world we want. But the stakes are very high. But there are, as you'll learn today, many ways to get involved. So find the way that moves you, and I'm excited to have this conversation that we're gonna have today. Thank you.
Stop Cop City.
Stop Cop City.
And defend the Cop City protesters.
Drop the charges.
Dozens of people that have been arrested, 30 or more that are charged with domestic terrorism charges. And now with the RICO indictments.
It's ridiculous.
It is ridiculous, but it's also dangerous. It starts with the entire thing is 200 pages, and the first half of it is a pretty bad diatribe, political diatribe against anarchism, against collectivism, against what are some of the other things? Mutual aid.
That's our program for today. I'm Stanley Heller for the Struggle Video News.